I still remember the sun spilling through the windows as I straightened the guest room, folding the last of the freshly washed sheets. My hands were trembling slightly, a mixture of excitement and nerves. Today was the day. My first foster child was arriving. I stared at my reflection in the hallway mirror, brushing down my shirt. My mother would have been so proud of me for taking in a child in need. After she passed, I felt lost, alone, but helping a child was supposed to be healing, right? When the knock came, I exhaled sharply and opened the door. Ronnie Bateman stood on the porch, holding a tattered plush bear with a missing eye. He was smaller than I expected for a 10-year-old, pale and thin, with unkempt brown hair falling over his eyes. The social worker introduced us, but Ronnie never spoke a word. He simply stared at me with unsettling stillness. The moment the door shut behind us, he finally spoke. "You have pretty hair," he said softly, his voice barely above a whisper. It should have been a sweet compliment, but the way he smiled afterward made me feel strangely cold. I made grilled cheese sandwiches for lunch, something simple that most kids would enjoy. Ronnie didn't touch his food. Instead, he stared at me, unblinking, dragging his knife across his plate slowly, making a faint scraping sound that set my teeth on edge.
"Not hungry?"
I asked, forcing a warm smile. Without a word, he suddenly shoved his plate onto the floor, sending shards of ceramic and crumbs skittering across the tiles. He glared at me with a flash of something dark in his eyes. "I don't want this," he muttered coldly. I knelt beside him, trying to keep calm.
"Hey, it's okay. You don't have to eat it. What do you want to do?"
His lips curled into a grin, a slow, deliberate smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Let's play hide and seek." Thinking it would lighten the mood, I agreed.
"Okay. I'll hide first."
I said, masking my unease. I tiptoed through the house and slipped into the hallway closet, grinning slightly at the stillness of it all. For a moment, it felt almost normal, but as I pressed my ear to the door, I heard something that sent a chill through me. Soft, deliberate footsteps, but there was something else, the faint metallic scrape of a blade dragging across the wall. "Caroline!" His voice sing-songed through the house. "I'm gonna find you." I held my breath, willing myself to believe I was imagining it, but when I peeked through the narrow crack of the door, my stomach turned to ice. Ronnie was holding a large kitchen knife. His small hands clutched the handle tightly, his knuckles white. Come out, wherever you are," he crooned softly, dragging the tip of the knife along the hallway wall, leaving shallow scratches. I slowly pressed the closet door open, creeping out barefoot, careful not to make a sound. My heart slammed against my chest as I moved down the hallway toward the back door. Suddenly, a tiny hand grabbed my wrist from behind. I spun around, and Ronnie's face was inches from mine, his grin wide, his teeth bared in a grotesque, almost animalistic snarl. "Gotcha!" He giggled and slashed at me. The blade missed my stomach by mere inches, but it tore through my shirt, grazing my skin. I gasped in pain and sprinted into the kitchen. My bare feet skidded across the floor as I yanked open drawers, searching for something, anything I could use. But Ronnie was fast, too fast. He came barreling around the corner, slamming into me with surprising force, knocking me into the counter. The knife sliced into my shoulder, making me cry out. "You're not fast enough!" He sneered, his eyes wild. I stumbled backward, gripping my bleeding shoulder. My hands shook as I grabbed the heavy ceramic fruit bowl from the counter and swung it at him. It smashed against his arm, making him drop the knife. But instead of crying out in pain, he laughed. "You're fun," he whispered, blood trickling down his arm. "Wanna play again?" I bolted for the front door, but he was right behind me, his small footsteps slamming against the hardwood floor. I yanked the door open, only for him to slam it shut with shocking strength, nearly crushing my hand. "No leaving!" he hissed, his face only inches from mine. Desperate, I shoved him back and sprinted toward the laundry room. I barely managed to slam the door shut and lock it. I panted against the wall, my heart threatening to explode out of my chest. Through the crack in the door, I could see his small, bloodied hand running over the handle. "You can't hide forever," he whispered. I frantically dialed 911 with my blood-slicked fingers, barely able to speak.
Please, my foster son, he's trying to kill me.
But before I could give them my full address, the door burst open. Ronnie stood there, his face blank, emotionless. He cocked his head slowly and strolled toward me. I scrambled backward, throwing whatever I could at him. A detergent bottle, towels, anything. He lunged on top of me, his small hands shockingly strong, pinning me to the floor. He raised the knife high above his head, his eyes alight with something vile. I screamed in desperation.
You don't have to be like your father.
But he simply smiled. "I'm not like my father," he whispered, his lips curling into a sinister grin. "He didn't kill anyone." I froze, my breath caught in my throat. "I did," he sneered. Every time he brought home a woman after Mom died, I didn't like them, so I played with them, with knives. He only confessed so they wouldn't take me away. His eyes glimmered with triumph, feeding on my horror. He swung the knife downward. I twisted my body just in time, the blade barely missing my throat, instead slicing into the floorboards. I kicked him hard in the chest, sending him flying backward. His head slammed against the wall, but he scrambled back to his feet, giggling. "You're good at this," he taunted. Blood poured from my shoulder, and my limbs trembled from exhaustion. But I managed to grab a broken lamp base and swung it. It cracked against his skull, sending him crumpling to the floor. I stumbled to my feet, my vision swimming, and kicked the knife away from his hand. I sprinted to the front door just as the police arrived. The officers tackled Ronnie to the ground. He didn't struggle. He simply smirked at me from the back of the squad car, his eyes wide with glee. "See you soon, Caroline," he whispered, lips curling into a grin. "You're my favorite playmate till now." The paramedics wrapped my bleeding shoulder, but I barely noticed the pain. I stared into the distance, the weight of the horrifying truth sinking in. The wrong man was going to die for the murders, and somewhere deep down, I knew Ronnie would find another game to play. I've been driving trucks for 15 years. You get used to the weird shit. Gas stations at 3 a.m., lot lizards, addicts wandering the parking lots. But what happened at that 7-Eleven last month still keeps me up at night. I was on hour 20 of what should have been a 14-hour haul, popping caffeine pills, blasting metal, slapping myself, anything to stay awake. My bladder was about to explode when I spotted this 7-Eleven store, standing like this sad little beacon in the middle of nowhere. The parking lot had just one car, a rusted-out Civic plastered with stickers about government mind control. Perfect. Exactly what I needed at 3:17 a.m., some tweaker working the register. The bell chimed as I walked in. Behind the counter stood this rail-thin dude, maybe mid-20s, staring at his phone. He didn't look up, just stood there with this know-it-all smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Bathroom?" I asked. He pointed to the back, still fixated on his screen. His fingers looked wrong somehow, too long, joints bending at angles that made my stomach turn. The nails were chewed raw, and dried blood had caked around the cuticles. I chalked it up to exhaustion and headed toward the restroom. The floor was sticky, making that sick peeling sound with each step. The whole place reeked of burnt coffee and bleach, and something rotten. Inside the bathroom, fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, one of them flickering like a strobe. 2 stalls, one urinal crusted with God knows what. I locked myself in the first one, my knees practically touching the door. I was getting down with my business when I heard slow breathing. It was coming from the next stall over, not normal breathing. This wet, rasping sound like someone drowning from the inside out. "Sorry, man," I mumbled, embarrassed someone was listening to me piss. No answer, just that breathing. For a second, everything went quiet. "Hello?" I called out. The breathing has stopped. The silence that followed was worse. I finished quickly and stepped out, ready to get the hell out of there. The faucet was dripping, each drop hitting the stained porcelain with a rhythmic ping that seemed to get louder. I turned the tap to splash some water on my face. The mirror in front of me faced all the stalls behind. As I leaned forward, I caught something in the reflection. Movement in the right beside mine, from where I heard the breathing few seconds back. In the reflection, I could see fingers, impossibly long, gray-white fingers, curling around the edge of the stall door. I froze, watching as a figure began to emerge in the reflection. The cashier, but he looked total psycho this time. His eyes wide, shoulders hunched at an impossible angle. The smile looked 10 times more sinister, and he was drooling like some mad dog about to snap. I hurriedly lunged for the door. It wouldn't budge. The handle turned, but a force seemed to block it. The lights flickered once, twice, then died completely. Suffocating darkness took over. The smell of rotten meat just kept choking the air around. Did I scare you? It was right against my ear. A cold finger grazed my nape. No one stops here anymore. I had to do something fun. A phone screen lit up, illuminating his face inches from mine. His eyes were dark, pupils so dilated they looked like black holes sucking in all the light. I slammed my elbow back, connecting with something solid. He grunted, but he didn't release me. His fingers dug into my shoulders with impossible strength. Don't leave, he whined like a baby. I'm so lonely. In panic, I grabbed the metal trash can and swung it at his head. It connected with a sickening crack. He staggered back, releasing me. I turned the handle harder, but the door wouldn't budge. He was still behind me. I could hear the wet, skittering noise. I peeped over my shoulder to see the cashier crawling toward me on all fours, moving impossibly fast. His head hung at an unnatural angle where I'd hit him, but that smile never faltered. Lonely, I'm so lonely. I've nobody to call my own, he sang, making a sad face. I threw my full weight against the door, increasing the strength with each try, until finally it gave way. I sprinted through the 7-Eleven store like some prey dodging the predator, the cashier's giggles following me all the way until it turned to screams of rage. He was cursing me to come back, but I didn't look back, just ran to my truck. As I fumbled with my keys, I glanced back. He stood in the doorway, perfectly still except for his head, which tilted sideways at an angle that should have snapped a human's neck. The fluorescent light above him flickered, casting his elongated shadow across the parking lot. He raised one hand and spread his fingers, too many fingers, in a wave. "Do come again!" he yelled, like it was some casual night of fun for him. I was lucky that the roads were mostly empty that night. Otherwise, I definitely would have met with accident. A week later after this incident, I saw news coverage on a local media channel. They're talking about a man who worked at a 7-Eleven store. Many customers kept complaining about the bad stench in the bathroom of the 7-Eleven for days, when finally cops had to intervene. They found dead animal carcasses stuffed in the vents and storage spaces. Upon questioning, they arrested the employee who worked there. It was the same guy from that night. When the cops asked him why killed stray animals and kept their dead bodies inside the store, he replied he didn't like being alone.